I broke my lawnmower last week. Right after that, I broke my leaf blower went out on me, and look what I just broke. It's missing. I broke the handle. Duh! What's going on, YouTube? I am Prepper Princess, the author of Living on Almost Nothing. If you're interested in purchasing my book, I will go ahead and leave a link down in the description box below. Today we're going to talk about tariffs and how they are not our only problem. So let's go ahead and get into that. All right. This is, I don't care who you voted for, okay? I voted proudly for Trump, and yes, I am getting exactly what I voted for. He campaigned on getting rid of illegal immigration, taking care of the tariff situation. Now, you have to really do a lot of research into the history of tariffs and how we are getting so royally screwed by other countries on our tariffs. And this is part of the reason why we have several $1 trillion worth of debt. The president is currently trying to get us out of that. And don't just listen to the propaganda, okay? Don't just listen to the news, because the news is largely controlled by Democrats, by the left, and in some instances, the far left. So you have to really, really look into the history of it, and how, for instance, just as an example, we will charge 2% to another country on tariffs, and they will charge us 100% on the same product. Certain countries are not car culture countries, so they charge us 80% tariff. We charge them 4% tariff on their cars, and it's simply just not fair the way that it's being done. And no, we cannot do a no tariff free trade. Free meaning not costing anything to different countries, because we, as the United States of America, are a consumer debt-ridden culture. We are a consumer. We're not citizens anymore. We're consumers. That's all we're good for, is consume, consume, consume. Now, on a personal level, I don't give a crap about tariffs. I don't care. Why? Because I'm not a consumer. I don't buy things. I buy groceries. And even when I buy groceries, I don't buy fruit or leafy greens, and pretty soon I won't be buying vegetables either. The only thing I'm going to the store for is my coffee, cream, sugar, and meat, and that's it. So it does not affect me the way that it affects the majority of Americans, and I totally understand that. But as a channel that preaches being debt-free, the only way our country could be in debt is by consuming more than they produce. The only thing that we produce really is dollars and technology. The technology is sent to foreign countries, and then they copy it, and then they sell it for pennies on the dollar. They cheat us. They cheat us and they rob us because they do not care about intellectual properties. That's another story. But so when it comes to tariffs, it has to be taken care of. For the last 5, 6, 7 decades, we have been making less and less money on our exports, and we have been spending more and more money on our imports. So that is something that has to end. And yes, there is likely going to be pain in that, but we can't just think about ourselves. We need to think about the next generation and the generation after that. What are they going to do? If we don't have manufacturing in this country, not only does it make us weak, because the majority of our prescription medications, our life-saving and life-altering medications, as well as our military supplies, are made in China. And you have to think that, I mean, Trump, our current president, didn't do that. He didn't make that happen. That was done by the other people. And, you know, I don't care if I get a lot of fight back on this, but it has to be fixed. If we continue on the trajectory that we are on, we're going to go bankrupt. It's as simple as that. And, you know, a lot of people are giving the current president a really hard time, but you have to think of what our only alternative was. And our only alternative wanted to increase taxes and increase the continuation of what DOGE is trying to protect us from. They wanted to continue with the fraud, the bureaucracy, the abuse, the overusage of funds, the taxation on the citizens. Okay. And then I'm sure that there's going to be somebody in the comments who says, if only corporations would pay their fair share. Yes, if only corporations would pay their fair share, they will move overseas to where there are better tax benefits for them. You see it all the time from us. So people will complain about the taxes in California, New Jersey, New York, Chicago, and they're going to move to tax-free states or lower tax states, Arizona, Nevada, Florida, and Texas. When you have businesses that can't make a profit in places like San Francisco, I don't know, SpaceX, they move to Texas where it's much more company friendly. Okay. Now I see this from both sides. I see this as a citizen and I also see it as a business owner. The reason that businesses moved overseas in the first place where our current president is trying to get the companies to come and manufacture back in the United States, I get it, but I don't think that he sees the big picture, and I'm going to explain. Tariffs are a big deal. They're important, but regulation is also a huge issue in the United States. So if the corporations aren't being taxed to death and the laws that are making them pay their employees a certain wage, plus benefits, plus pension, plus 401k, when you look at an hourly rate, let's just use an example of $20 an hour you're getting paid, the company is actually paying about $40 an hour for you to be working for them. That's with the 401k match, the medical insurance, dental insurance, vision insurance, paid holidays, vacation days, things like that. So that you're actually getting paid. I mean, you're only getting paid half. And then they're also taxed. They are taxed on what they pay you. Okay. So don't just look at it like I don't get paid enough. Like the companies are they're paying you double what you're getting in your paycheck. All right. I know that from personal experience. I also know about right now, if you go onto TikTok and YouTube, you're going to see all of these channels from Chinese companies doing TikToks and Instagrams about how your Chanel and your Coach and your Prada and Gucci is all made in the exact same factory as these other companies that make them for $4 or $6. And all they do is they put it into a different machine and put a different label on it, and that's the only difference. So that tells you how much of a consumer culture we are. But the regulations are a big issue. I'm going to give you an example here. We have farmers market. Okay. I live at the north central valley of California where all the farms are. So basically what our farmers market is, it's not people there selling their homemade jam and their pies and their homemade candles. It is companies coming in and food trucks, and that's about it. So you get all these food trucks. One makes churros, one makes burgers, one makes pulled pork, one makes, I don't know, hot dogs, one makes tacos. You get all these food trucks, and then that's it. And then you have these farms that come from the Central Valley, and then they come to our farmers market and they sell their fruit and vegetables. It's not a mom and pop thing. And the reason it's not a mom and pop thing is because of the regulations, which is what one of our major problems is regulations. Again, I speak from personal experience. So if you want to own, you want to sell your homemade jam. Like you go out and I make homemade jam. You go out, you pick your blackberries, you make homemade jam. You made too much. You got like 30 extra containers of blackberry jam and you just want to sell it. I also have so many mint plants. It's not even funny. I list those on Facebook Marketplace because it's the only unregulated place that I can even try to sell and nobody's interested. But if you take it to a farmer's market, somebody might be interested. The problem with that is that if you go and you want to make jam or pies or something like that, you have to have a business license. You have to have a seller's permit, and you have to pass all of the local, county, so the city, county, and state regulation and codes of having a sanitary kitchen, but it goes beyond that. It can't just be in your own kitchen. You have to have a commercial kitchen to make homemade jam to sell at a farmer's market. So you're looking at probably $400 for a business license, another $400 for the permit. You would have to either rent a commercial kitchen for $1,000 a month or create your own commercial kitchen for $15,000 just to sell your homemade jam at the farmer's market. I always thought growing up that farmer's market was just little, farmers, moms and pops who had a little bit too much on their farm. They want to sell their grapes or their zucchini or their homemade fermented olives or whatever. I thought that that's what farmers markets are. No, it's not. You can't just go to a farmer's market, pitch up a tent and a table, and then start and put up a little sign and sell your stuff. No, you have to be a business owner, licensed, registered, and all this other stuff. And I think that what what the current president is not really seeing about the tariffs is that I don't think that those companies moved overseas only to save money. I mean, if something works and you're making a decent profit, you've got good employees, and it's easy to do, why take the risk of going overseas and spending millions, if not billions, on building an entire factory to continue to make your product if things are already going really good where they are? Because they've been regulated out of business in the United States. I can't even imagine what type of regulations they have to have on car manufacturing or pharmaceuticals. I have no idea. It's got to be way worse than just having a little farmer's market stand. But they're regulated and they're taxed to death. Taxed to death. So if any of you have ever owned a business, you have to put back probably 40 to 50% of everything that you earn to pay for taxes. Yes, to pay for taxes. And people here in the United States say, we don't get taxed that much. It's only like 20% income tax. Yeah, income tax, sales tax, inheritance tax, capital gains tax. You purchase something, you have to pay tax. You sell something, you have to pay tax. You invest your money and you have to pay taxes on your earnings. Like we are taxed to death. And corporations are taxed even more than the regular person. But people who are getting small paychecks don't see what those companies are really putting into their employees. So you make $20 an hour, they're paying 40. They're paying 40 for you to work there for 20 because the government takes it all. And then if the government doesn't take it all, they expense the bejesus out of these companies, and then they force laws and regulations. Just an example is for full-time employees, companies are required by law to give those employees free medical care or insurance, free medical insurance. Well, a lot of companies went out of business when that law came into play. A lot of them. And and a lot of people lost their full-time jobs because the companies couldn't pay for it. So they bumped them from 40 hours a week down to 30 hours a week. Now we have a gig economy where people have to work a full-time job and a part-time job, or they have to work one that is 32 hours per week or less because that's the deadline. That's the cutoff of where the company has to pay medical insurance. So you get 32 hours a week, or they probably put you around 30 just to make sure you don't go over. So 30 hours a week at one company, and then you have to make up the rest, but no other company is going to hire you for just 10 hours a week. So you have to go and do 20 or 30 hours a week. So you have to work 50, 60 hours a week just to keep a job because a lot of these jobs couldn't afford to keep a full-time employee. All in the name of progress. All in the name of progress, folks. Same thing with a lot of the tariffs. All in the name of progress. Now, as I'm making this video, there's a big thing with China. They're fighting. That's all I gotta say. Well, no country out there with good intelligence is going to. There's not really a way to say it. So China's trying to forward their products through Taiwan, who is an ally of ours and is not really tariffed nearly as much as China. So China wants to send their stuff to Taiwan and then Taiwan to the United States so that China can still continue to keep their economy going without paying the tariffs. So they're trying to go behind our backs. Of course, I mean, the president, you know, they already know this. And I'm sure that it will probably escalate from here because the CCP simply does not care about the welfare of their citizens. They only care about themselves. So what do they care if their citizens are going bankrupt and trying to live on $1 a day? They don't care. The Great Leap Forward is a perfect example of that. They don't care about their citizens starving. I think here in the United States, we have a little bit more integrity than that. We are a Christian-based nation. In God we trust. And as much as our government, as much as imperfect as they are, and as many mistakes as they have made, they don't want us dead because I think that if they literally killed us all off, they would not be able to sustain themselves because the government does not produce, they only take. They take our taxes, they take our money, but they don't produce any money. They don't produce anything. What they do is they take our money and then they get us even further into debt with our money. And then when we're so far in debt, they just create more money out of thin air so that it's like a magical game of losing the value of the dollar. Now, one of the things that does worry me is that I do worry about, for starters, I've been talking on my channel since, I think, July of 24, that I believe that a Great Depression is coming to the United States. And I do believe it's coming the third or fourth quarter of this year. It may be a depression or a really intense recession. Are you prepared for that? Are you prepared? Have you gotten out of debt? Have you paid down your bills? Have you reduced your subscriptions, your memberships? Have you gotten rid of any unnecessary expenses? Well, according to articles online, most people are, but most adults are being supported by their boomer-aged parents by $900 or more per month, half of the adult people. Their parents are paying for their adult children. 50% of adults need help. Shall I get into the car fiasco? No, let's not get into the whole car loan repossession fiasco that's been going on in the United States for the last, I don't know, 6 months. And then people complaining they can't make it, but they have $1,000 a month car payment. Let's just keep this on tariffs. So you really have to do, and look into the history. And again, don't go by the propaganda of what you're seeing on YouTube and Instagram and TikTok. Literally go in and type in, what is the history of China tariffs to the US? What is the history of the US tariffs to China? How much does China charge the US? How much does the US charge China? And if you want to do it on a different country, go right on ahead. And you will see that we have been getting screwed by Canada, Mexico, and Panama. Panama Canal is a whole other thing, and China, especially China. China is one of the worst. So it's something that you guys are going to have to look into yourselves because it goes really deep, and it's not really something that I can cover on a simple video. Maybe there is a YouTuber out there somewhere who did the deep dive, did all the research, and made a full video on it. See if you guys can find that. I looked, I couldn't find anything, but if you find it, go ahead and put it down in the comment section and I'll take a look. And if I see that if it's legit, then I'll go ahead and approve the comment, because any comment right now with a link is sent into my must be reviewed file due to trolls and bots. All right, folks. I want to end this on, the Great Depression and how there could possibly be a war. I mean, if we ruin the economy of another country, they're going to retaliate. That's what happened to Japan at Pearl Harbor. We act like we were attacked out of the blue, but we weren't. We actually decimated their economy, and that's why they attacked us at Pearl Harbor. Again, something you'll have to look into. All countries propagandize themselves as being the good guy, where everybody else who is not an ally is their complete enemy. So take a look at that. All right, folks, do what you can with what you've got. Be prepared, get out of debt, grow a garden if you can. Prepper Princess out. Such happy doggies. Such happy doggies. Gotta look out for the mud. Come on, Nola. Oh, of course you had to tie yourself around me. There we go. Who's my Mr. Rocky Pants? You're my Mr. Rocky Pants. She pees, and he has to pee right anytime she pees. He will come right behind her and pee there. It's a dog thing.